I wanted to talk to you about the cameraman, actually. So, I forgot the most important part of the story, didn't I? God, useless. So anyway, I called him painting. I really like it. I just got it in a charity shop years ago. Hello. I don't know if this is going to be the beginning of the vlog, but anyway, I just wanted to say hello and have a little chat with you, because there certainly isn't going to be, look at all of this achievement that I've done and look at all of these gorgeous things that I've made or produced, or because I've been really ill since I got back from holiday. Well, I had a couple of days grace, and then I basically got struck down. And anyway, I have COVID. I did a test and it's actually COVID. And so now I'm at the point where I literally can smell or taste nothing. It's unbelievably annoying. You know, when you completely lose your sense of taste and smell, food becomes literally temperature and texture. And that's it. It's very strange. You know, even chocolate, I can't taste it. The tragedy of it. Unbelievable tragedy. Anyway, so I had a really, really lovely holiday, and thank you for all your messages. I missed a bit of video I should have posted. I might just put it on here now so that you can see it. But there was this restaurant in the marina, which was next to the hotel where we were, and it was just extraordinary how different sort of health and safety is, because the restaurant was there, and then you could eat outside on this sort of kind of planked wood that was next to the water. And when we arrived, all those tables, so it was just enough for a row of so the restaurant was here, and then there was a row of one table, so then it was the water. And it was only when a table became free and we were asked if we wanted to sit outside. And I thought, yeah, I want to sit outside. There was literally, you could sit down, and then it was just a sheer drop to, well, it wasn't like a sheer, but you could just go into the water. There was I thought there would be glass or something. It was the most bizarre thing. So you'd be sitting there eating, and if you literally just sort of thought, I'll just lean over, you'd go straight into the water. But it was very beautiful because the water was underlit, and the fish were huge. They were like this, massive. Anyway, it was very sort of James Bond, if they were like piranhas or something. The water.
So we're in Turkey, and I'm holding on to my phone for dear life because there's nothing between us and the deep blue sea.
Yes, I was going to make my coffee table nice because I thought that it's autumn, so it needs to switch up. But I don't even know if I've got the energy to do that. I've put a load of makeup on so I look well, but I've literally been in bed. It's just been bizarre. I've been really, really, really poorly. But anyway, I thought I would talk about a couple of things. And there's Quincy, always sabotaging my efforts. Hang on. Okay, I'm back now. Hopefully Quincy won't continue to sabotage me. Anyway, so I was just talking about the holiday, and that it was really lovely, and I read a couple of books that I wanted to share with you. So first thing is, when I go on holiday, I'm not interested in like blockbuster escapism kind of things. I always want to read something, that's meaty or meaningful in some way. And so I brought this with me. This is actually my book group book that we're going to be talking about on Monday. So this is In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. And I kind of wish I could have just brought a very, very intelligent novel that was, could have been a funny one or da-da-da. No, I decided to destroy myself with this. I highly, highly recommend it. But my God, if ever you feel that there is a gap in your education about what it was like in the trenches during the First World War, this is the answer to your problems, okay? Because literally nothing is spared. It's, I mean, it's an incredible story because and any part of it could be true. The research that she has done is extraordinary. There is a lot of things that I didn't realise, why would I, went on and happened. I suppose it depends on your knowledge of the First World War, but it's the story of two schoolboys and public schoolboys, and so it's very much about the class system as well, and it's about their love for one another, really. So it starts off when life is relatively normal at school, and then there starts to be this pressure to enlist, and this glory in enlisting, and one of the boys' mothers was pushing him to enlist. I mean, I think he was not yet 18, but because she was of German descent, the family were coming under a lot of pressure, and she wanted him to enlist, just to sort of underline the fact that they were British and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was just unbelievable. And then there were young women wandering around with white feathers. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And it was a fantastic book to read, and I'm so pleased that I read it, but I kind of wish that I hadn't read it while I was on holiday, because, it's a devastating book, the horrific realities of war, and of course, which is, happening now in Ukraine, trench warfare. But anyway, I do highly recommend it. So it's by Alice Wynne. I mean, she writes beautifully. You are completely there. You're not anywhere else. I mean, you've seen the photos, you've seen the video, that's where I was. So I would be lying on a sun lounger and reading this book, and I was absolutely gripped by it. But then you've got to snap out of it because you're on holiday and you're in this beautiful place, and what are you doing? Anyway, so that was a questionable choice of mine to actually take that to read, but also I did want to get it done, while I was away. And as I say, I do like to read something, thought-provoking. But the other one that I read, thank goodness in a way, was The Party by Tessa Hadley. And weirdly, quite a few of you have mentioned Tessa Hadley in your comments. So I was very pleased. In fact, I was given this book. So thank you. You know who you are. And I absolutely love. Well, it's a novel. It's set just after the Second World War in Bristol, actually, and it's a story of two sisters. It's a novella, and it's one of those things where kind of very little. It's very much character driven, and it's just about two sisters. One of them, I think, is there's 2 years between them, but they're right at the beginning of adulthood in a way where you're kind of always pushing out your boundaries and doing things that scare you, and kind of the fear of, having a boring or ordinary life, and the courage that it takes to sort of step outside that. And also just the pain of, when you are a young adult and you're growing into yourself or who you want to grow into, because at that sort of point in life it's very much choices, isn't it? Well, it always is choices, really, isn't it? Because I'm nearly, in the spring I'll be 59, and I feel very much that I'm actually really growing into myself even now. So it's just a journey, isn't it? But I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's tiny. It's a tiny novella. You can read it in a few hours. And I thought it was wonderful, and I look forward to reading more of that. It's also just about the interplay with strangers, because it's called The Party. And when you're young and you meet people and you're sizing them up and you're making decisions about yourself and them, and you're drawn to some people and sort of repelled by others, and it's just very, very clever. But it's how we all grow, really, isn't it? And speaking of growth, I guess, so I wanted to talk to you about the cameraman, actually. So, thanks for all your lovely comments. So the cameraman and I have quite the history. So we first met online dating. It was actually 11 years ago this month. So, but we'll call it 10 years. Let's just call it 10 years just because it's easier. So we met and we fell just madly in love with one another. It was really interesting because I was really up to here with online dating because I'd had lots of dates, and he had too, and it was kind of like the last rodeo for me. I decided that I was just going to come. I mean, I was always on off anyway with the website as it was then, and then I met him, and we just had just a huge attraction for one another, and we fell madly in love. Anyway, over the next literal decade, we have had, a lot. It's been a journey, on off, and now it feels completely different. And I think it feels completely different. So basically what happened, actually, let me just tell you what happened. So he left me a voice message. So I had actually blocked him. So just because, I don't know, I just do that, that is just me. If I end a relationship with someone, it's severed. And I think that's probably to do with my upbringing, because I had to just walk away from a lot of things. And so I learned from a very early age that you do walk away from things and you never look back, which is quite unhealthy. But anyway, so that's just the little story of that. And so I didn't realise this, but when you block someone, they can still leave a message for you, but you don't see that message except until it's about to be deleted. And then you'll just get a little sort of pop-up thing that says there's a message on your phone that's about to be deleted. But I'd never seen any messages before, and this sort of popped up on my phone, and I thought, well, what's that? And then I thought, and it was the number, and it was the last 3 digits, and I thought, I recognise that number, because nobody really remembers anyone's number anymore. So I thought, I recognise that number. What is that number? And then I played this message, and I played it, and I played it. I must have played it like 30 times, and I also had to keep saving it, because you only get it for 7 days. So when you listen to it, you have to remember to save it, because I didn't want it to go. I wanted to be able to hear it, because it was a really lovely message. It was not like a sort of a gushing. It was a very measured message, and I think that was what I really loved about it. It was just, kind of, hi, it's me. I'm going to be in Somerset this weekend, or whenever it was, I don't know. I'm, visiting. We have mutual friends who live nearby, and it would be really nice to see you. That's all, just to see you. And then he made a little joke, a sort of a little in-joke. And then that was it. So I didn't even hear that message until that weekend had come and gone. And then I remember that I wanted to call him immediately as soon as I heard the message, and I didn't. And I waited. And I think because I wanted to just, and I did, I waited for weeks, to be honest with you. I didn't rush, because I really wanted to think about it. And then, the more I thought about it, the more I thought how, I'd never stop thinking about him. And I also saw myself in a different light, I think, and a less flattering light. And it's been a really interesting thing, this journey, the YouTube journey. Like some of you have been sort of kind enough to say that, you know, watching me has made you, has resonated and made you understand yourself better. Well, watching me, not that I do watch the videos once they're up, because it's just a horror, but when I'm editing, obviously, it has made me understand myself a little better. So in many ways, I've been kinder to myself. But then in other ways, I see myself and you know, I'm a very flawed person. And so you can look back on relationships that have failed and you can see them in a certain way, but I almost looked on it in a different light, and I felt that he had so many fine qualities. One of the maybe the most important of which is that he's very, like, he's a very, very funny guy. He's a very sort of, who could I compare him to? Yeah, he's a very, very interesting personality. And you see, I couldn't even compare him to anyone. I don't know who I would compare him to that you would, movie people, I don't know. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought now. But anyway, I just saw myself in a different light. And one of the things that I really loved about him was that he is predictable in the way that he responds to things. So when I'm with him, I will know where I am with him completely and how he will respond to things. So predictable, not in any way a dull way, because in some ways he's very unpredictable because he's very flamboyant, but on fundamental things, like in terms of, you know, his slowness to anger, he's measured, whereas I am not, and I think I can be incredibly unpredictable, and I would not like that. I wouldn't want to hang around with me. You know, a girlfriend, again, this really resonated with me. She said to me, you know, sometimes I have to be really careful about the words that I choose, you know, when I talk to you about something, because otherwise you're just, you know, and I thought, God, I hate that. I hate that. Is that true? I hate that about myself. And that made me look at him very fondly, you know, the cameraman, because I always feel very safe in that way. And there's a lot to be said for that. But again, you know, I think these things, they go back to, you know, to childhood, because, you know, I would go into my house, you know, you'd just be listening. That is what it was. You would be like, right, what am I dealing with? What is this? You know, what is today? What's it going to bring? And it would just be, you know, it would just be a horror. Anyway, so that's all got quite heavy, hasn't it? We went into the deep end there, didn't we? But yeah, so it's good. You know, long story short, it's just really, really good. You know, we and it's the kindness. We're just super kind to one another now, like really, really kind. And I, you know, see him for who he is rather than what I think, you know, he should be. And that's really, you know, what all of us, it's kind of a bare minimum. And, you know, and he's been so amazing about the vlog. He couldn't be more, you know, supportive and praising, to be honest with you. Like, he's, you know, it's really lovely. It's really lovely to have that, because, like, you know, God, that was an absolute horror, you know, because obviously I wanted to tell him that I'd started a vlog, because I'm quite proud of that, you know. But then I didn't want him to look at it, so I didn't tell him what it was called or anything about it, because, you know, it's very exposing, and I would have just felt so raw, and, you know. But anyway, he found it, obviously. But when he'd found it, his reaction was just wonderful. He just called me up one day and he said, "Listen, I just want you to know, I found your vlog. I haven't slept for a couple of days because I've been watching all your videos. I think you are absolutely wonderful. And I just couldn't be more impressed or more proud of you. And so that was a really lovely thing. It's emotional. So, sorry, I think I'm a bit deranged because also I do feel very poorly. So anyway, so that's the story of that. So I think this is our 4th time. We're calling it season 10. So the other nice thing about it is, obviously, I've known his boys since they were, they're in their early to mid 20s now. I've known them since they were at school, since they were teenagers. Beat one of them at an arm wrestle really early on. I'm never going to let him forget that. And then the other one, seeing what had happened to his older brother, was determined to beat me, and I think that's what gave me a frozen shoulder, so I'm holding that against him as well, because that was a real fight to the death, because I so wanted to beat him as well. But anyway, that's just all silly. So that's the story of a cameraman. And he's a real personality plus, for sure, but so he would never be intimidated by being on camera or anything like that. Like he's amazing, and yeah, I'm sure that he will bring something, but slowly really. That having been said, if it doesn't work out between us, I'll be here ranting, calling him all sorts of names. No, I hope it won't. Well, it's not going to come to that. It's just not. We feel. I just feel really lucky in a way that we found one another. Oh yeah, I forgot the most important part of the story, didn't I? God, useless storyteller. So anyway, I called him. So after I'd listened to his message, and also I'd played it to quite a few girlfriends, and obviously they were girlfriends, sort of newish girlfriends, who kind of hadn't met him. And everybody was like, oh, it's such a lovely voice. Wow, what a lovely voice. And it was a lovely voice, really sort of velvety, chocolatey, real depth, a bit of cigar in there, it was lovely. And so anyway, so I sat on it for ages and ages. And then I called him. And in fact, I had been filming when I decided to call him. And it was the video. It was in the summer. When I made that drink. I made the, I think it's called a skinny bitch. And it's, the vodka, lime and soda. And it was a really hot evening. And I had decided I was going to call him. But obviously I didn't say anything to you guys about any of it. I was just making a cocktail, but that was and the reason I was making myself that drink was just for a little bit of Dutch courage. Because I thought I'm gonna call him. And when I called him, he was in one of his favourite places in Sussex, which is where we went very recently. We went to Charleston, where he spent a lot of his early years in that part of the country. And so he was literally sitting in a pub. And I left it deliberately until about 7 o'clock in the evening, because, he's a man of habit. And I thought that will be a good moment to call him. And he was sitting in a pub, and he was thinking about me. And when he got the call, he thought that his phone must be hacked, which was really sweet. And then, we started... No, in fact, I didn't call him. I messaged him and then I called him. So I sent out the normal hello, ? Kiss. That little sort of, just throwing it out there a little bit, not taking too much of a risk. And then he messaged back with hello. And then we spoke on the phone. We spoke for ages, and then we saw one another quite quickly after that. And obviously I didn't share any of that with you because, because there's another person involved, and, some things you just got to wait and see how they play out. Anyway, very long story. I'm sorry about the neuroses. Right, now the other thing. So yeah, but that's the story of the cameraman. Now, I wanted to ask you, actually. No, I wanted to show you something. So when I was going to do the coffee table, I thought it would be really nice to put all my Christmas cookery books on the coffee table, because actually at this time of year, it's when you're really thinking about Christmas and what you want to cook and planning things. And so I've been looking for a new recipe for a really lovely Christmas cake, and I was hoping that there would be one in this book, but actually there isn't. This is such a gorgeous book, The Kitchen Diaries, Nigel Slater. Do you know it? It's like a whole year of, and it's, well, not daily, but it's sort of, is it daily? God, it's not actually, no, it's not quite daily, but, so it's done like this, and then every few days he will write either just a little note about the season and what he's doing and food and what he's thinking, and then there'll be like, a recipe for something lovely. So I thought I'm going to dip into that, just the December bit, because he's just such a beautiful writer. In fact, do you want to hear my tragic Nigel Slater story? So for those of you who aren't maybe in the UK, Nigel Slater is like the equivalent of he's as well known as Nigella or, Ina Garten. He's like right up there. He's right up there. And he's just this lovely, gentle soul, but everything is beautifully... This is probably one of his best books, which I've had for years. Just his food is delicious, his home is delicious, his home is beautiful, his garden is beautiful, and he's really lovely. Anyway, when I first started this, what have I been talking? Sorry, I need to just, where's my glasses? Just see. Oh man, that was a long time. Okay, when I first started this channel, quite soon after, Nigel Slater followed me on Instagram, and I couldn't have been more excited. I was beside myself. I messaged all the kids, oh my God, Nigel Slater's following me on Instagram. And they were like, oh my God, no way. Well, a couple of the kids said, I'm not sure who Nigel Slater is. I've disowned them. They're in my past now. Do you know what I mean? Like, no. Who are you? Who raised you? Whereas most, the core kids, they were saying, oh my God, he must spend Christmas with us. Can we adopt him? Let's get him. Let's make him part of our family. It's fevered excitement. So I thought, because he's followed me, I was just so thrilled, like the idea that Nigel Slater would be following me. And so I thought, I'll follow him back. So I followed him. You have to request to follow him. So I followed him back. And then I got a message, and the message said, hello, gorgeous. And I thought, oh, you're not Nigel, are you? You're not Nigel. It was crushing disappointment. But yes, that's my sad no. So then I blocked him. That's my pretender to be, oh, why? Why would you do that? What can you possibly hope to get out of that? What, do you think I'm going to take my clothes off you? Well, Nigel Slater's gay anyway, so clearly that person knows nothing about anything. I mean, at least know the person that you're trying to imitate. So he wouldn't be calling me high, opening up with a high, or it was like high sexy or something. It was just, gross. It wasn't Nigel, just being playful. I don't know, anyway. It's over for Nigel now. And then, so I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Christmas things on, Christmas books on the table so I can look at them. But I actually haven't even got the strength to do that. I'm so feeble. Also I've got this horrible back pain. Anyway, it's just all a bit grim. But I've got my book group coming up, so I get to choose the next one. So I don't know if any of you have. So it needs to not be too long a book. I think we've all in the book group decided, because it's not easy. So this is one that Alice has said is a really brilliant book. Or have I read that? Anyway, I just, for the title alone. So anyway, there are, yeah. So there are, I have many choices here. So Ariel Levy, I love her. I used to love her writing. She used to write in the Sunday Times, didn't she? Quite sharp and neurotic. I really like her. I like people on the edge of things. That's great. Yeah, so there's that. Or June Didion. What about that? Or I can't find it at the moment, but there's a small novel, The Rachel Papers, by God, what's his name? Martin Amis. So that's an option. I quite like the sound of this. Philip Roth's Deception. Or Wildcard. I have not read this since I was about 12 years old. And I remember reading it and absolutely loving it. I think I did. Or was it that other book? I remember there was another book called On the Beach by Neville Shute. I remember reading that and being totally gripped by it. But I haven't read science fiction for such a long time. So I'm going to take those to my book group and say, hey guys, what do you think? What do you fancy? And then hopefully they will choose one of them. Well, they will choose one of them, or I will. And there's that. Anyway, I hope that you are all well. It's been a quite uneventful vlog, and I'm sorry about that. I just can't do anything right now. What was I going to say? But I think there will be some bits after this, because I remember I did start filming some stuff. So there'll just be a little bit of random vlog stuff. Oh, I'm going to show you one thing, actually. Let's just have a little bit of visual interest here. So I've had this, I hung this in the kitchen above my larder door, and one of you noticed it ages ago. And I think it's a really gorgeous painting. And I love the frame, but I don't like the colour. Well, it's basically like a non-colour. So I think I'm going to paint the frame. And if I do paint the frame and it looks nice, I'm going to show you. I think I'm going to paint it a darker colour, actually. It's just all a little... I feel that this is just all a little insipid. And so, whereas this is actually a very vibrant, lovely painting. I really like it. I just got it in a charity shop years ago. But I like it very much, and so I'm going to paint it. And then another thing that's bugging me, because as I haven't got the strength to do big stuff, because poor Jordan wants to obviously finish the kitchen, and he's meant to be coming in next week. So I've actually got to empty out. Oh, anyway, whatever. But there's quite a lot to do. But the other thing is this. This also upsets me. Just the sort of the whiteness of that just doesn't work with that. So I might paint that as well. That's just the little lamp thing there. Can you see? Yeah. So that's it really. And if I have anything nice to show you, I'm going to just put it on at the end of this video. And yeah, I feel it was a bit rambling and incoherent and maybe oversharing. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, you all look after yourselves, and yeah, just thank you. Thank you so much for watching my channel. But anyway, if you would like to subscribe, that would be amazing. Or if you would like to hype my video, that would be also amazing. And yeah, or like any of those things, lovely. Very, very lovely. And thank you very much. I feel genuinely very privileged to be here and have people listening to me ramble on. And yeah, the cameraman is a good guy. He's a good guy. Also, he's the most incredible travelling companion. Can I just say, you know, because I think I shared what I'm like, you know, the plane's going to go. It's chaos. It's just all chaos in my head. I can't even bear to think about any of it. And he just makes it all seamless. Like, literally all I have to do, I told him this actually, it made us both laugh. When I go on holiday with him, or really go anywhere with him, I just sit down, I just wait for the nice stuff to start happening. And when I say sit down, I sit down in whatever transport has been organised. So he's either driving a car, or he's ordered an Uber, or we're on a plane. Do you know what I mean? On the way to the airport, or we're on a plane, and it's just all lovely. So I remember we went on holiday somewhere. I can't even remember where it was, but I just remember being at Heathrow, and we went to that lovely, there's a Fortnum and Mason bit. And I remember that we went there and we had a glass of champagne before it was like just so decadent, so lovely. He's really good at things like that. And we also really like food. We both really like food. So that's a nice thing. Yeah, you know that shepherd's pie in the ivy? I found the recipe for it, so I'm going to try and recreate it because we're now obsessed with that. It's so delicious. Also quite obsessed with adding anchovies to things just for that umami, you know, that sort of savoury sensation. Oh God, there will be some Christmas food coming up as well. But again, I can't think about any. I know I'm whining a lot. I just can't tell you. I have felt so ill. Just weird. But I'm quite pleased it is COVID, because otherwise I just think, oh God, you're just being such a baby. Sort yourself out. Anyway, on that note, thank you for watching. Look at the colour of this. Virginia Creeper. I just wanted to show you something really quickly. I'm at work, obviously. You know my bomber jacket? We have one very, very similar. Look, it's this wonderful warm lining. It's so fabulous. Look at that. Look at that fabulous cashmere jumper. Isn't that so cool? I love it. Love it. It's also an excellent bag. And softy. Yeah. Also stock American vintage. And these things are so soft. God, that would look so lovely on Alice. Anyway, okay, there we go. There's some little just sweet things. Sorry, I just have to show you this as well. Extremely sweet. Sort of critical levels of cuteness. Look at that. Little velvet ribbons. They're little jewellery boxes. This is a little ring box. Hang on. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? That's a very pleasing little click as well. Hello. I've done the picture frame. I like it. I'm going to come back and show you. Here we go. I think it looks a gazillion times better. I'm very happy with it. This colour is that, I think it's that Farrow & Ball. I think it's called London Clay, but I will check that. I just think it just looks, it's actually very, if you can see, it's very like the colours of these little marks here, you know, they're sort of undulations. There, look. And I've just painted it quite roughly. And I'm going to put it up in the hall and I'll show you. I'll show you when it's done. Look, I have a hammer, I have a nail, I have a step ladder. I could fall off. Okay, just put it roughly about the middle, just about there. There, I think. take you closer. Pretty damn pleased with that, I tell you. So look, there's the other colours. That's the other wall. And this is, sorry, I'm having to back up and go down the stair. Oops, so much that can go wrong. So this is, look, so if you were to come up the stairs, like that, yeah. I am very pleased with that. And there it is again. It's just that new colour frame has just given it a completely new lease of life. And I feel that if I had put it up there with a, you know, just a sort of distressed white frame, it would have been lost, whereas it's far more defined. I like it. I'm very, very into that. Yes, happy days. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back. Come on, darling. Quince. Super casual. Quince. Quince did not get the memo about how dogs are. Oh no, here she comes.